שאני עוד לא מסוגלת לאהוב אותי נכשלת. ורק שלא תספרו לה איך קשה לי לנשום, כל יום אצלי זו מלחמה ללא שלום, ללא שלום. ומה נועד בשבילי, רק אל תתני לי ליפול, אמן שלא תדעי הכל, תדעי הכל, תדעי הכל. ורק שלא תספרו לה איך קשה לי לנשום, כל יום אצלי זו מלחמה ללא שלום, ללא שלום. ומה נועד בשבילי, רק אל תתני לי ליפול, אמן שלא תדעי הכל. ורק שלא תספרו לה איך קשה לי לנשום, כל יום אצלי זו מלחמה ללא שלום, ללא שלום. ומה נועד בשבילי, רק אל תתני לי ליפול, אמן שלא תדעי הכל, תדעי הכל, תדעי הכל.
אוקיי, אתם על הרדיו הישראלי, 107.1, 99.9 FM, HD4, also in the Israeli radio station, on the app, on the website, 250,000 listeners every day. Gila Liadato, how are you? One second, we don't hear your microphone. Now?
How about now? Oh,
Now it's
yep, you
perfect.
hear me now. I am fabulous. This is such an exciting moment.
Okay, so we have a guest on the phone.
Yes, we are joined now by Simon Newton-Smith. He's the Senior VP of the Americas for El Al Israel Airlines, and I'm so thrilled for him to be with us.
Good afternoon. It's great to be with you.
Terrific, terrific. So, Simon, I know that you bring deep airline industry experience and that you help lead El Al's presence across the Americas. We really appreciate you being here. And I would put safe money that most of our listeners are very familiar with El Al and know all about it. But still, for those of our listeners that don't, tell us a little bit how you would describe El Al, what makes it stand out, and a little bit about what you do.
Great. Well, first of all, thank you again for the invitation to join you. And again, without stating the obvious, El Al, of course, is the national airline of Israel. And we have one job, and that is keep Israel connected to the world and the world connected to Israel.
It's an important job, and we so appreciate it. Thank you. Great. So tell us, I know that South Florida is a very important connection point for travel to Israel. What are you seeing currently in the connection between South Florida and Israel? What's happening? What initiatives? Anything you'd want to share with us here in South Florida?
Sure. Yeah, as you quite rightly say, South Florida is a hugely important market for El Al, and all we're seeing right now is unprecedented demand. I mean, clearly, it's been a really difficult time for our customers trying to get, to and from Israel. But we are operating as many flights as we can. Right across the country this summer we'll be operating our, if you like, our most frequent schedule that we've ever operated between the US and Israel, up to 55 flights per week.
Wow.
And out of Miami, we're now up to 7 flights per week, and working really hard to add extra flights. The flights are very full. As your listeners will know, certainly the regular travelers. So we're working really hard with the relatively small fleet that we have. We're working really hard to try and add flights, as and where we can.
So incredibly important and appreciated. I know we, both Nissan and I, use El Al often. I have a brother who comes to and from Israel on a monthly basis and always
Wow.
with El Al, and so we're so
Thank you.
grateful for the connection
Thank
that you
I
give.
have to say, the food is improving in El Al. I'm flying a lot with El Al, and I know Chef Granit, Asaf Granit, the chef, is managing all the operation with the food there, so there's good food.
Yeah.
So.
And in fact, the food is certainly a point that our customers tell us that they've noticed. But I think for many people, again, particularly over this challenging couple of years where other airlines have been in and out of the market, many people have been reintroduced to El Al. And it's certainly the feedback that I get. It's a very different El Al than maybe 5 or 6 years ago. So it's great that you're sharing that feedback. Thank you.
Fantastic. So actually, I was going to ask about someone who's flying in El Al for the first time, what they would want, what you would want them to notice and what they should expect. But it sounds like you're seeing that this is different, even for people who have traveled El Al a lot, but maybe not so much as of late, given all that's happening. So tell all of them what they can and should expect, and what's different, what's changing.
Well, we've done a lot of investment with the onboard product. I think right throughout the aircraft we're operating a Boeing only fleet. Boeing 787s are the aircraft that we operate predominantly into the US. And certainly if somebody hasn't traveled with us for a few years, they'll notice, a significant improvement in the in-flight entertainment experience, the food, as you already mentioned, and then just the general comfort on board. But for folks that haven't traveled El Al before, El Al is indeed a unique airline.
Mm-hmm.
At the airport, you'll notice probably a higher level of security than you would at other airlines. And, I think particularly now, that gives our customers a level of confidence that, they need when they're traveling. But I think overall, we've been recognized as an airline with an award called the Apex 5-star, or I should say we're accredited a 5-star airline by the Airline Passenger Experience organization. That's an independent body that rates airlines versus other airlines. And I'm pleased to say for 5 years now, we've been rated 5-star.
Wow.
So that encompasses everything about the experience, from comfort, food, entertainment, check-in, getting off the aeroplane. So it's really good to know that has been recognized.
Absolutely. That is an impressive, very impressive statistic. I know that reputationally, I've always, for as long as I can remember, my people are always saying El Al is the way to go when it comes to flights to and from, and they feel very secure and safe, as you were saying,
Good.
which is of the utmost importance, right, for people at the best of times and any time. So I think it's working. Obviously, you're doing the things, which is incredible. How long have you been with El Al, Simon?
So I have been with El Al for 2.5 years. I started in November of 2023, so a month after the awful event.
Wow.
That was quite a time to join.
Challenging.
Yeah, so I've only been with the airline during sort of like a time of war, and it's been a very unique experience. But I've got to tell you, over and above the products on board the aeroplane, what people will notice is the people, and certainly that has been the standout for me working in an organisation. I've never been in an environment where so many employees are both emotionally as well as physically committed to the job. And I think what this organisation has achieved via its people during this really difficult time, certainly the feedback that I get is the crew on board, the people on the ground, they're the ones that make the true difference.
Fantastic. That's so good to hear. So you've been with them 2.5 years, lots of epic things happening during that time, and the airline has really navigated in such incredible ways, even continuing to grow. What do you see for the growth? What gives you the most confidence about El Al's future?
The fact that despite everything that has been going on, and certainly in the lives of our customers, certainly in the state of Israel, El Al has not wavered from its plan to continue improving. And as I mentioned, it's a very different El Al than say 5 years ago, but as you quite rightly mentioned, we continue to grow. That's additional flights into our existing gateways in the US. So that's New York JFK, New York Newark, Boston, Los Angeles, Miami. We're operating up to 7 flights a day into the New York area this year. And again, the demand, we can't satisfy all of the demand. We've just announced that in October we'll return to San Francisco. In November we launch Buenos Aires. Early next year we'll be flying to Seoul in Korea. And we've also just announced literally this morning that we'll be adding Starlink Wi-Fi to all of our aircraft beginning next year. So what gives me confidence in the airline is that it's committed to improvement, it's committed to growth, and again, it hasn't wavered from that plan despite everything that's been going on.
Starlink internet, it's much better, it's much faster, what the technology you have today, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's like using your
home internet.
Your Wi-Fi at home, streaming capabilities, and certainly all the feedback that we've heard from passengers on airlines that currently operate with Starlink. It's very much a game changer.
I want to ask you a question. A lot of Israeli beg for most of the flight of El Al. People from Florida wants to live from Fort Lauderdale. People like Fort Lauderdale because most of the Israeli, the Jewish are there because every time they're looking for flight that fly from Fort Lauderdale.
Yes. Yeah, listen, we had for about 1.5 years, 2 years, we were operating 2 flights a week from Fort Lauderdale, and those flights did extremely, extremely well. So when we made a decision to consolidate back in Miami, it was because we need to grow. And that might sound strange, but we could only operate for a big chunk of the year our smallest aircraft from Fort Lauderdale. With the length of the journey and the weight of the aircraft, the runway was not long enough to be able to operate bigger aircraft year-round. So we made a difficult decision because, our customers are just looking for more seats. So, by flying and consolidating back in Miami, we can operate larger aircraft year-round, which is, not ideal for folks that are on the doorstep of Fort Lauderdale. But I can vouch for the fact that having driven down there myself just the other day, the traffic situation on the I-95 noticeably better.
Right.
But again, utopia would be the ability to fly from both airports. But again, there are some sort of like technical limitations at Fort Lauderdale, which means that we can't optimize the number of seats the market demands.
Well, I can't even imagine how much goes into the back-end decisions and all the things, keeping the number of people safe getting to and from. So we so appreciate El Al. We so appreciate you making the hard calls to make sure that we can continue going back and forth. And we really appreciate your time today. Thank you so much for joining us today, Simon. It's
been lovely to be with you. Thanks for the opportunity, and happy to jump on again at some point in the future. Thank you.
Fantastic.
Simon, thank you very much.
We
Have a
look
nice
forward
week.
to it. Take care, Simon. Be well. Thank you.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
107.1, 99.9 FM HD4, Israeli Jewish radio station. Gila Liadato, thank you very much.
Thank you.
It was a nice interview. I'm happy he heard what I have to say about Fort Lauderdale. We need more flight from there. I forgot to tell him we have some issue with the FAA a few weeks ago. Remember that?
Yes. Oh, we should have discussed that with him.
The people that listen to us, the FAA, it's the national airport, whatever. They're supposed to supervise the airport and the traffic airlines. So they hear us on the communication tower, the station on. They heard the Israeli radio station and the communication tower, and we got a phone call from there. But everything's solved. Thanks for the FCC.
They love hearing you, but they can't have it on that channel.
Yeah, it was 122 something, never megahertz. Okay, anyway, enjoy from the music. Gilad Eldad,
Back
thank
to
you
the
very
music.
much.
Thank you so much.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
שלום, מה תאמרים אל חש על אוזנך ושק עליך